Hello, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful Monday, June 9th, where on the Suze McLean Show, Jakko, my husband, and I will be talking about everything to do with trauma. And specifically today, we're going to talk about toxic shame and burnout. So let me check because I made some notes. Just going to see if I can find my notes. If I can't, then we'll do without them. Let me see if I can find them. Oh, okay. I can't find them right now. Okay, we'll get to them a later time. Anyway, last time, and that's what I made some notes about, we talked about toxic shame and practical solutions. Now, if you want to listen to that, just listen to the previous episode. But today, we're going to talk about shame and burnout because one of the things that we ended on last time had a lot to do with this whole idea of preventing shame, of trying. So little recap of last time. One of the things that toxic shame comes from is from identifications from before we were 7, meaning that we've been so busy understanding the version of us that is acceptable to the world. And this is not the consciously accepted, oh, I think they will want this from me. No, this is a deep, deep, deep childhood stored system where we follow the if I am like this, I will have unconditional attachment from the grown-ups around me. Now, if we don't get that, or we get that conditionally, and this can go really quickly, like if I am too emotional, I'll be sent to my room. Now, that doesn't have to be a punishment, even. It can be just like cool down in your room and you'll be fine. It can be done out of love. So I'm not even talking about the big things. If that happens too much, a child will start to feel that they are wrong. Not that what they're doing is wrong, but that who they are is wrong.
They have
Now,
to be out of connection, and then
exactly,
it's safe for the
exactly.
others and as well as for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I connect to what's flowing through me and my impulses, it's going to be unsafe. Now, we build a what we call a mask, and it's the wrong term. I will come to that. But we build a kind of a false personality, a societally accepted personality, but it doesn't feel like we built that. It feels like this is who I am. This is just me, right? This is how I respond. So from toxic shame, we build these false selves, false identifications that feel like the one trustworthy thing that we have, and we continue to live from that place. If I have that in place, then I'm safe. Now, that will get you burnout quicker than anything. Because if we're constantly looking outside of us, if we're constantly looking at how's the world responding, what am I seeing, and we're looking at what we see outside as a compass to what we'll do, then we're constantly playing chess on 17 boards at the same time. And that's what we're going to talk about this episode. So it's
Mhm.
all around constantly navigating. And by the way, it seems like, yeah, but I mean, everybody's doing that, right? Yes, everybody's doing this. That is exactly right. And this is why stress is addictive. It really is. It's physically addictive and it can feel like, but I need my bank account in place and I need all these things in place. And I really can't calm down if I don't have any of these things in place. Really feels like that. And it starts,
And
yeah.
maybe some more modern ambitions, like I need to be the best version of myself.
Mm.
It's even making it
Oh,
worse. It's not only the bank account, and my family has to be in health, and all that kind of stuff that was normal in the 50s, the 60s, and 70s. But now,
now we need to be
not only
authentic too.
we have to be the best version of ourselves as well.
Yes.
So in
Yes.
everything, physically, and
Yes.
in your work, and with your friends, and in the
Yes.
holidays, and everything.
and with your clients.
Yep.
Absolutely. And it's also, yeah, and we can easily talk about this, right? I love what you're saying because we can easily say, well, you know what, just let it go. You don't have to be the best all the time. Yeah, that sounds easy, and it probably is. The problem is that the doing your best is not the problem, it is the solution. And a lot of people don't run burnout because they love working so much or because um, they can't hand it off. I'm working, for instance, one of my clients is a doctor, and she has this whole schedule of, I don't know her schedule, but let's say she has clients between 9 and 12, and then she has a lunch break, and then from 1 to 5 she has clients, and that's it, something like that, right? She planned for administration time before the day even started. She planned somebody at 10 to 9 or at 8:30 or at 8, and then her day just moves a little bit on that side, and that's fine. And then her lunch break, you know what? I can eat in 30 minutes. And then there is a really bad case with somebody, and she's like, yeah, okay, you know what? Come here at 6:30. And she will tell
I'm a
me,
doctor. I should uh, be able to
exactly.
do this. Yeah.
And she tells herself, well, I'm a doctor. I mean, people need me. And then she'll tell me, this is not shame. It's not shame driven. It's not burnout driven. This is what I chose. I'm a doctor. Now, the interesting thing is, she knows it's not good for her. She knows her own daughter is suffering from this, and she knows that there is a price in other parts of her life. So she came to me at a certain point. She said, so how can I change this? Because I can't let these people suffer. That is not going to happen. So you can tell me I need to change it, but I don't see any solution. And a lot of people I work with who are running burnout because there is actually no other solution. Now, there's always another solution outside of you running burnout, right? But the interesting thing is if we look at the internal world of, for instance, this one person, and she is symbolic for many, right? What I see over and over and over and over and over again is the mere idea of her taking a 30-minute break in the entire 24-hour window that your day is, right? 30-minute break. She did it, right? She took a week off and she took a 30-minute break one Monday, drove her insane. The thing is that the not scheduling self care, the constant busyness, the constant pressure is a solution. And it is, in her case, a solution to deep childhood neglect. Now, not saying her parents consciously neglected her. I'm saying they were too busy with Second World War shit and they were in complete survival mode. And she could not process anything that was going on at that time. So there were constant things going on, and her only solution was to not need anything. Now, when there are needs in her system, she needs to numb those down. So there's this constant busyness, constant addiction to, yeah, but I can't cancel. I can't cancel. I need to say yes. I need to say yes. I need to say yes. Because if I don't say yes, and here's the rationale, I'm a bad doctor. If I don't say yes, I'm this person is going to suffer. If I don't say yes, this is going to be the consequence. I signed an oath. I need to do this. When I started working with her a few years ago, we just looked at her schedule, right? But the minute we try to solve the schedule, this toxic shame comes up. So then her entire body starts to tremble. It starts to explode internally. She is managing that by looking at her calendar, by looking at her appointments, by looking at, I need to have this in place, I need to have that in place, I need to have this to do list in place. So it looks like she's just organizing the shit out of her day, right? In reality, toxic shame is driving her towards a burnout at light speed.
So is this why I never managed to do something good with my time management trainings until now?
Exactly. Exactly.
I think it's really a waste of time. This time management. As soon as you're back home or back on your workplace, you do the same thing over and over, like you used.
Well, the
There are
interesting thing
some
is,
smart things, but even that, I agree that they would help. I don't use them, or even if they use them, they're not important enough to keep me on track with it, because then things
yeah.
start to take over.
Yeah, and there's two things to this. One is not all time management systems work for everybody. So that's one, right? It's not like, hey, if I organize my time well, then I can create breaks. Not everybody's system works the same. So that's one. But the other is, if I manage it well, I'm faced with my internal system. And if your system doesn't want to be faced, then it's going to play every trick out of the book to not face it. Um, and you said it so beautifully. You said, I have all these courses and I'm not taking them. I'm not doing what I know I should be doing. So, and I think a lot of our listeners can relate to that, right? I know I need to prioritize self care. I'm not doing it. I know I need to do certain time management things. I'm not doing them. So let's look at it a little bit from your perspective. By the way, guys, I'm sorry. I'm shaking this because there is something in my water and it is lumpy. So that's why I'm shaking and I really want to have a drink. All right, let's unpack it a little bit, Yakko. Hmm, what kind of things do you think you should be doing that you're not doing?
Um, so yeah, so there's really simple things like procrastination, like administration of hours of, or all kind of things that should be done that are not really the normal content of my work, but that's all kind of work that's around it, and that's not really the core of my work. And I always say, okay, I'll do this at the end of the day, and then at the end of the day, I'm always busy with something which has my interest, and then I'm deep into it. And
Yes.
so, okay, it will be the next thing tomorrow morning, the first thing in the morning, that I will do my administration.
I
And
think
then,
a lot of people can relate to this.
yeah, so there's then there's some other distractions to.
Yeah, so on the surface level, guys, on this podcast, if you're listening to this, on the surface level, it looks like I'm doing this project. That's what I love. I don't like administration. I postpone it to the end of the day. By the end of the day, I'm tired. I just want to play trombone and do some music and relax. And then the
Or
next
be,
morning,
or I'm busy into the content, and then
yes,
something has to be fixed or done,
yes.
or researched, and then so yeah.
And now there is an interesting thing because Yakko being my husband, I know a thing or two about him. We have consent on this podcast that we unravel each other's threads, and we'll look at mine too in a minute. Um, but the interesting thing is, Yucko grew up with a deep belief system and a deep toxic shame internal strategy of no matter what I do, I will never be good enough. No matter what I do, things will explode. No matter what I do, I can't handle life as it is. Now, that's not what he thinks about himself, right?
No.
That's it's not this is not a conscious thought. This is a system that before he was 7 was installed
Mm.
deeply inside of his family, not specifically against Yakko. This was a belief system that his parents had, that the society around him had, that his sisters had. So he grew up in the system of you'll never be good enough, you'll never amount to your full potential. Just keep yourself small, play along with the other people. Now, there is a deep sense of inherent guilt in that system. There is a deep sense of you will never be good enough, and this feeling of I am about to ruin it for everybody if I show up mm, comes from a situation where Yako, when he would show up and use his voice or ask for something, the repercussions were huge. His dad would get angry, a lot of things would explode. So if he tries to use his voice, if he tries to solve things, when he was very young, it would get worse. Now, the interesting thing is if we look at your administration, that would actually solve a thing or two in our life. But there is this system inside of you still active saying, but if I solve it, things might explode. So here is a two-way trap, right? It's like pushing the gas and the brake at the same time because, on the one hand, your conscious system knows, I want to solve this. But there is a deep toxic shame system saying, I can't do this. I will never be enough. No matter what I do, it will never lead to an outcome. So, you know what? This is too much for me. I can't handle this. Let's not do it. I don't know how. And these are not conscious thoughts, guys. Nothing to do with conscious thinking. This is a very responsible adult sitting here, right? But if he does it, the minute he takes care of administration, all these feelings of guilt from before he was 7 start to surface. And he starts to feel overwhelmed.
And I think it's even more complicated because
Okay.
um, there's also um, something about um, that the work that the main part of my work, which is more content wise, is
Yeah.
um, that I don't allow myself to spend that much time to it. So,
Mm.
so if there, I don't allow myself, but I like to do it and I need to
Yeah.
do it because even the work I should do sometimes feels like it's forbidden to spend that much time.
Yes.
And then it's when there is time or there's an opportunity to do so, then I will. And
Yes.
I will go deep in it, and maybe there's a bit of a dragon as well that I think ok, I should be done well, and then it takes a lot of time, and then because there's time, I will use all the time there is, and then the other tasks like administration will be always last because it's from the toxic shame that I don't allow myself to work on the things that I should do or that I
Yeah.
really want to do or that I like to
That
do.
you're good at, that
And
that will even let you know on all levels that you are enough and you're a beautiful person, that will get you the rewards that you're looking for.
then it takes all the time that I have and I don't want
Yeah.
to stop. And
And this is interesting because this is the exact same thing as the example with the doctor that we were just talking about. She wants to be present for her patients, but everything that will make her feel present is not allowed because if she does that, the toxic shame starts surfacing. Now, it's easy to think, oh, you know what? Just let go of the belief, just do the other thing. That would be the easy route. And as much as we would love it to be that easy, it's not, because this is not a thinking pattern. This is a physical pattern deeply rooted in the fact that our brain system cannot deal with the calm, with the relaxation, with the feeling enough. So, in order to solve this, what Jakko and the doctor will need to do, and Jakko is doing this because if we would have this podcast 20 years ago, it would be an entirely different story, right?
Mhm.
But what he needs to do is he needs to feel safe while being responsible, feel safe while using his voice, feel safe in the grown up adult version. But your dad never felt safe as a grown up. So that's a very complicated thing. So his entire nervous system needs to feel safe while being while fulfilling your full potential, while playing, while living, while breathing. Do you want to say anything about it?
Mm, no, I'm just thinking about or try to feel what's there because it's now that I allow myself to do the things that I really want to do. It's just it looks like there's even then a world where I'm on my own and can do the things that I want and need to do, and how I present that to the outside world. So
Yes,
I feel the freedom to do the things I think are important, but there's a difference that's different from what I think others expect from me.
that's interesting.
So
Tell me more about that.
there's there, there there's always um, a feeling that some things should be done different by me than they are. So
Ah,
even in
yeah,
my work as an urban planner that I used
yes,
to do, um, I thought, okay, this is what the client wants or the other people in the project wants from me, but this is how I do the work, and there should be a translation at a certain
yeah.
moment. But
Oh, but
and,
this also, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Is it okay if I give an example of this?
Mhm.
Just to make it clear for the audience? Oh my God, this brings me back to our drive on Saturday. Saturday, we were driving in our car to my parents, and Yoko was driving because I broke my ankle. In case you didn't know it, I broke my ankle, so I can't drive. Yoko was driving, um, and we're going to my parents, and without me asking or without me trying to interfere in his driving at all, because I trust him and I think he's a great driver, without anybody knowing, turns out Jakko is constantly tuning into me, into doing his best to drive the way that I want him to drive, or to drive the way he thinks I want him to drive. Really interesting. I know nothing about this, right? We're just sitting there, we're driving. At a certain point, in my loveliest, sweetest, most amazing connected voice that I really do have, I asked him if he would mind keeping a little bit more distance to the car in front of us because that would make me feel more safe. That was it. All I did, we were having a perfectly calm morning, and I was just saying, would you maybe mind holding a little bit more distance? That would make me feel more safe. You exploded. I mean, exploded. And
it
then
was yeah because it was
Benj
two things too much. Because one, I was already slowing down while you said it. I was already busy slowing down. That's one. So I was already doing the thing you wanted to do that I did. And the other thing is I was busy using how do you say this
cruise control.
cruise control while there's a lot of traffic, and I think that's crazy. You should use cruise control when there's not that much traffic, so it's really helpful. But so, and I know that you like to that I use the cruise control. So two things that I already did for your pleasure, and then even that wasn't enough.
And here's
So,
that's
and
yeah,
that's the thing. I did my best to.
you
So I
were
was already busy with you instead of just.
exactly. Exactly. So without anybody asking, without anybody knowing, without anybody having anything to do with anything, you are already tuned into everybody except yourself. And then every question will be too much. And then every question will create an explosion. Now, not in everybody it will create an explosion, right? But this is why shame leads to burnout. Because if you're constantly tuned in to the rest of the world, your system is being drained. Anybody who is a driver and has passengers in the seat would consciously want those passengers to feel safe. That is not the issue. I know you want everybody to feel safe, but and I wasn't accusing you of anything. So there's this constant being driven by guilt, being driven by performance, being
Yeah,
driven by
meeting,
want meeting expectations that nobody placed on you, by
or I think more general in society, we know that we feel that there's so much expectations
exactly,
constantly.
exactly. I think this is, I mean, we're talking about Yucko now, right? But I think every single person on the planet has this system of constantly looking at, but what are the rules here? How can I play by the rules without asking a question about what are the rules here actually? So then we're constantly trying to meet external expectations. Same with the doctor. She doesn't ask her patient if there are any other things she could do for them. She's constantly trying to meet external expectations driven by toxic shame. It would not be a problem if this was just a belief system. Then you could just say, hey, you know what, Yako? It's perfectly fine to just ask me how I'm doing, and you can just trust your own system. Hey, you know what? Anytime we're in the car together, just trust yourself. You don't need to do your best on my behalf. If it were that simple, you would just enjoy driving. Now, you do enjoy driving, but there is this constant idea that somebody is looking at what you're doing and that there are expectations and that you're only this far from being attacked.
Yeah, so being constantly on your toes, to
Yeah.
whatever you do in life, if it's driving or working in an office or something, doing something in company, and but also in the family, where where you need to run a household,
Yes.
it can be everywhere, or be there for your kids. And I think because it's constantly, and so in my case, I think um, there's the tension that I feel is related to when I was a kid at home, and there could be something very wrong, and
Yeah.
um, so I know the feeling of how it is when you do really everything as perfect as possible and have the feeling that even that is not enough to meet the expectations of the others. Yeah,
And it's interesting because you're always tuned in, but never voicing what you're tuned into. And that makes it almost a mission impossible. Same with the administration, it's the same system. You're never voicing what's really underneath, so nobody can ever help you or comfort you or say, hey, I'm fine, or because there is a need and an identification with that shame. For me, it works in a different place. I don't tend to tune into other people and feel their expectations. For me, it's almost the
Problem two.
opposite. Hmm?
That's
If
a
only I would, then your life would be entirely different. That would solve everything, right? If only we could have that course of Sue's tuning into other people. Yeah, so for me, um, yeah, my childhood was very different than yours in many ways, I would say. In many ways, it might have always also been very similar. Um, but for me, tuning into other people led to very unpredictable, very dangerous situations. So I needed to sort everything out on my own because otherwise it would get dangerous. I could not tune into other people. That was unpredictable. That was dangerous. So I learned to do everything on my own. Now, for me, the burnout starts, or the this whole toxic shame burnout system starts when I want to do something together, when I want to belong, because I don't have a clue how to belong to a group of people. So then I just start to, what do I do? It's interesting.
So I think for a long time you started to do your best, and then
Yes.
you really try to do the right thing, and by trying so hard, you were completely lost of your normal, your real self, your real person, you who you really are. So I thought I'm really happy with you as a partner. And but as soon as you came into um, in my family or somewhere else in my
Yeah.
group of friends, you were very different than you were when we were just together, because you really try to fit in, and with the effect that you fitted in, uh, not for uh, for a bit, because yeah, trying your best was not really
It will
was
never
not
help.
choose. Yeah,
It will never help.
yeah.
No, no, that's true. And then the interesting thing is then we run burnout because we're trying to run on somebody else's system. We're trying to run on somebody else's strategy. We don't
And
have a
it's a
clue.
system or strategy you don't know even. So
No,
even if it would be good to do your best, you do your best for something you don't even know.
no. And then somebody will tell me, well, just tune into the group. I'm like, I, I, I'm tuned in. Now what? I don't know what that means because the interesting thing is, this is the interesting thing. I can completely be present with everybody's emotions and with everybody being upset and just be present in that. I don't need everybody to be served or healed or whole or fixed. So if somebody's standing there, obviously hungry and thirsty, not taking care of themselves, that's fine with me. I and then people will tell me that I am not tuned into their needs. Well, I am picking up on their needs, but I don't see how that is a question until it's asked.
So yeah, what I saw, so that's one thing, but what I saw that is that you really try to be interested in those people, to
Yeah,
to and then I heard you say things that I thought, this is not what you think, this is not what you believe, this is not how you are.
yeah, yeah,
So you wanted to be part of the group, and then
exactly.
started to talk with those people in a way that I thought, okay, this is strange. This is not how I know
Yeah,
you.
because that's what happens then. Because if I be made felt like you don't know our needs and you don't belong here because you don't pick up on the signals, then I think, okay, for the life of me, I can't see why I need to take care of other people's needs. So then I will just do my best to see if I can have a conversation with them, and I don't understand their conversations.
Yeah, but you can have you are very good in having nice conversations until the moment that you wanted to be part of the
Yes,
group, because then you're going to say things that I know
yes,
that you don't mean, or that don't.
yes. Yeah, and then there's a
And
whole,
that's a long time ago. This
yeah,
was
true,
for at least 10
true.
or 15 years back. So
Yeah. But it sparks a level of shame inside of me that made me, and I don't have this anymore, but it made me feel disgusted about even living. It made me feel I shouldn't be here. It's better if I disappear. What am I doing here? Who am I even? Um, and it made me feel like I need to just get out here, do everything alone. So in me, this is interesting because we've talked about this before, right? I used to think until 20 years ago that I am an extreme introvert. Now, today, and this has only been for the last year or two or something, I am willing to admit I'm not an introvert. I am absolutely an extrovert in the sense that I need people to restore my energy. And the only difference between introvert and extrovert is that an introvert needs to be alone to restore their energy, and an extrovert needs people to restore their energy. Why did I think I was an introvert? Because people confused the hell out of me. I was terrified of people. People in my past were unpredictable. They would lash out, they would get angry out of nowhere. So I was extremely afraid of connecting. That doesn't mean my system doesn't need it. But what that led to was me using introvert strategies to restore my energy, which don't work for me, meaning that I would feel unhinged on my own and kind of my system would shut down and I wouldn't be able to process what I noticed because in order to process things, I need connection. But connection was dangerous. Now, that system is toxic shame about me trying to fit in, not knowing how to fit in, shutting down, going back alone, thinking I was doing the world a service, running burnout because I wasn't allowing my system to restore. So my burnout had more to do with that my self care system is not alone. But if it's with the wrong people, it doesn't work either. So there was a constant terror of I want to be with someone, but I can only be with someone if they do it exactly right. And if they don't do it exactly right, then I'm lost because I couldn't ask for what I needed, but I could also not do it on my own. And that was terrifying. And it led to a huge loss of me being able to just use myself, to just trust myself, because there was a constant feeling of guilt. But it's a very different feeling of guilt than you have. Well, it's probably the same feeling, but it's a different system than you have. Because I wouldn't do my best in the same way you do it. You're constantly trying to tune into the other people. I was constantly trying to take care of myself on my own. These systems don't work.
mm. So if that so these are examples, and I guess we're not the only ones who are dealing with this kind of old um,
No.
identifications. And so first, it's very clear that we shouldn't we should be aware of that. Those are only identifications,
Yes.
more than that. It's really us. And as soon as you know it's only identifications, it's not over by then, but it's more easy to feel that it's not us that is attacked when something is happening.
I'm going to remind this so well and hold it against you next time we're in the car together.
Yeah, it's
If only it were that easy.
it's
But
a
you are
starting point.
right.
It's a
It's a
starting
starting
point.
point.
Yeah.
Yes, it is
But
a starting point.
so and uh, that's the big difference. That like last Saturday in the car, it's a moment, and then there's a possibility to talk about it. And it would be if I was attacked in my whole being and not only identification, then it would cause a situation for days
But
that
the
we couldn't
interesting thing
talk or
is,
couldn't see each other. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm not opposing you, but just for the listeners, it's not that easy because it is that easy and it's not. And the thing is that your level of rage in that car at that moment, if I would have met that by defending myself, we would have, I would have been thrown out of the car. So it does require something. It really does. Because what I did in that car is I completely hit pause in me and started regulating my own system and really staying present with me, not trying to defend anything, just being present and calming myself down to the degree of absolutely not about me. I did not cause this. And if I want to feel safe and I want to say something, I will. Not judging myself and really staying true to me. If I would not have done that, it would have escalated in a very wrong way. And we've had that happen 20 years ago. So it does require something. Now, what can you do here? Because and you have taken 20 years of training with me and with other people. So you know it's not you. It's not the first rodeo we're on, right? So I just refer to pause, going internally, taking care of me, and letting Yucko have his whole moment of rage. And also saying, hey, I just need you to stop right now. We know how to deal with this. What can you do if you don't?
Yeah,
What can you
what
do?
I try to explain is that as long as you feel like it's really you that's attacked here, it doesn't matter if you're the
True.
one who is enraged and or the other one who's afraid of the other one that's enraged. But as soon as you think, or as long as you think that you are the person that's really you, that it's
True.
so. I would say
Yeah.
um,
It's
if
about
all
not
those
taking,
identifications are feeling like it's your true self,
yeah,
and then you have to meet all those expectations around you on the work floor, in your family, or anywhere, and so I think that's the
that's
reason
true.
why so much people are suffering from a burnout
Yes.
or almost burnout.
And it's what you're saying is very, very beautiful because it's about taking life personal. I have another client and she is in the midst of all kinds of um how do you say that? Well, huge conflict with a partner that she runs her business together with. Legal conflicts, real big legal conflicts. And the way the partner is talking about it feels extremely personal. It sounds extremely personal. It sounds like an attack. It sounds like you are doing this wrong, and that is why this is working. And here's proof, and here are the documents. And and she says to me, yeah, it's easy for you to say that this isn't personal. It really is. Look at what she's writing here. and then still. Hit pause, go inside and look at where is part of me agreeing with that this is true. So it is creating a boundary between what we visibly can see, and that's absolutely true. There are facts on the table. This is what's visible. We can see it. And the truth about what you know you are. So the divine truth, right? I know I'm a beautiful person, and I know that I'm loved, and I know I am a divine being, and I might have made a mistake or two. That's all good. Never will justify the amount of yelling happening in the car right there. So going back to the truth of with what you know God thinks about you. And I can only think of God here because if I know the way, looking at you and looking at the situation through divine eyes, with this client with these legal things, what she needs to do is create that boundary of who do I know myself to be? And she needs to look at herself through divine eyes, looking at, but I know I'm a beautiful person. So whatever this other business partner is saying can't be true because it's not what I know I am. So it can't be true. And that means that she can then listen from a different place. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think society is really pressing people towards all kind of things like believing that they should be the best version of themselves because else it's worthless or it's not worth living or the uh, and I think people should live to their full potential in a way, but that's something different because then it's really about your natural talents to
Yes.
come out, and that's very different from doing everything right in life
Yes.
and doing it from another place, not from
Yes.
pressure but from pleasure, and
Exactly.
that's very different. And
Yes.
we forgot to live like that we're not needed to do everything right because
Exactly.
and so the burnout thing, I guess it's really um, not only that we as persons didn't um, identify where things are coming from our youth or from trauma, but as well as the society as a whole is busy to try to press people to the maximum.
Yes. And we're also playing that game. I just had a talk with somebody that I am in a mastermind with this morning, and we were talking about AI. Now, AI is beautiful. I use ChatGPT every week, maybe even every day, but I don't let it write my texts and I don't let it do my marketing. I use it for certain things, and I think AI has beautiful powers. But if I look at certain elements in it, I don't want to dehumanize the world. And yes, it can take over things, and yeah, that's beautiful. Um, but I don't want to be dependent on it. I want to have skills myself. I don't want to be dependent on some tool writing my texts. I also want to be able to write. I want to know what I want to say, and I just use it. I mean, if I talk to you, I will get clarity. And if I talk to ChatGPT, I will get clarity. But it's my clarity and my skill and my voice. And I don't want to live in a world where I don't sharpen my own saw anymore, where I don't do my own things. And if anything, this whole AI development makes me want to paint and do embroidery and crochet and knit. and it wants me to have less to do with the world than more. And I use it for the things where it's good for. But if we're too afraid that we can be replaced, then what is the purpose of us being here? If computers take over the world, well, that's great. But what's the role of human beings here? And that can lead to an identity crisis of us devaluing who we are and sharing what we are and sharing of ourselves. And ultimately, I think that's where connection starts and where we start to become centered again, and where this toxic shame and burnout system um, will stop driving us, and where we will feel good enough because we are, and not constantly in this treasure hunt for, am I worthy to play?
So if you see yourself only as a tool yeah, on the work floor, then you have to compete with AI.
Yeah,
And but shame, and especially toxic shame, has all to do with not really daring to connect, or yeah, the feeling.
feeling unworthy.
Yeah. So it's double by then. So if you're competing with AI and you're not able to connect because that's fearful,
Yeah.
then it's double.
And then there's a constant uncertainty and a constant feeling of um, feeling behind, constant feeling behind, constant feeling that no matter what you do, there's no point to it. You will always lose the game. And yes, I have news for you. We're losing the game of life, every single one of us, to death. We will die at the end. There is no battling that. It's not the question if we're going to win the game. The question is, how did we play? That's the only question. Did we play according to the rules that of who we want to become, instead of how can I win the game of the bank account, the game of society, the game of success? The question is, how did you play your game? And ultimately, nobody can answer that question for you.
Yeah, so it's different. You call it a game, but it's more like a match uh, that should be won for a lot of people.
Yeah, but it's a game but life is not a match against other people. It's a game we play with ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. That's what it should be, and then not a game
Yeah,
win or lose, but a game to explore.
exactly. It's not a game to see how well we're doing by comparison. It's an exploration um, of pure delight and finding happiness in our abilities. In, wow, I can do this. Wow, this is the effect of that. Amazing. Look at me. And this reminds me of a baby, right? Look at me. I have hands. I can touch things. I can taste things. Of constant exploring, constant understanding. Now that is nice. And that's also beautiful with AI. I mean, from that perspective, AI becomes a tool, and it's an exploration of what's possible, how far can we go. That's beautiful. But it is sheer creation that we're after, and not competition or extinction or winning or losing. It's just exploring. We've been made in the image of and likeness of a creator, right? Whatever God is to you, that's it's not a man in the sky trying to control us. It's a force of creation. It's a force of creation, and that's what we are too. We're a force of creation. We create human beings, we create life, we create food, we create the
Music.
way we live, we create music, but it's creation isn't always about art. It can also be about creating. a life worth living. It's also creating a home, creating connection, creating friendships. And that means showing up with your palette in that. That will never make you run burnout. But that means that we need to really allow ourselves to deal with all those layers of toxic shame that are driving us.
Hmm.
We can't do that in a podcast. Guys, if you want to work on that, let me know because we have a beautiful 2-day seminar coming up in August and we have a retreat, Finding God in Everyday Life. And there's still places. So just send us a message because we need people who are showing up, creating, being together, hanging out together, knowing that you're not just good enough. You're not just good enough. You are the answer. You're
Yeah.
not just good enough to add a little bit. This is it. This, you, that's the answer. And the scenery doesn't really matter. The scenery can be a bank account, it can be a house, it can be a life. But as long as you're breathing, you won't vanish. And as long as you're breathing, there is an answer. It always is.
Yeah, and I think we have to learn how to connect even when it brings up shame
Yes.
at first, but that means that we have to start in a safe environment, safe space where you can do
Yes.
your little steps in reaching
Yeah.
out and connect and let your true self be in a way that's not easy, but there's the
Yeah, and it,
starting point.
yeah, and it's not easy because the first thing that happens when we are in a safe space is that all the unsafety from the toxic shame will start to show up. So, in a safe space, the first thing that happens is that all the unsafety will start to surface. And
So
that makes our system think, oh, you see, I can't deal with this. This is what I was talking about with the doctor, right? The minute she creates a safe space, all this unsafety surfaces. And then she feels so unhinged that she starts grabbing her to do list and starts working again.
but it means that when unsafety comes up, when people are safe, that means that the environment should be even safer than just safe.
Exactly. Exactly.
Every that also there's enough safety that the unsafety can be there.
Yes. Yes. Next week, we're going to talk about safety, what it really means, what it
Yeah.
really means to feel safe. Because feeling safe, we think feeling safe means my bank account's in order, and this is in order, and that's in order, and everything is in order. And then peace will come, which is the biggest fallacy there is. Because then all the reasons why you didn't have it will start to surface. And then we need to train our system to feel safe before we can handle any of that. That's what we're going to talk about next week. I can't wait for it. Guys, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. And I want you to know that this show will be streamed on Spotify and all the platforms. And tag us, rate us. Let us know your questions. Let us know the topics you want us to talk about. I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.
Bye.